Do you want to know one of the qualities of mankind that terrifies me? It seems as though we are naturally inclined to be so self destructive. And more often than not, we follow this path of self destruction to the point of no return. I think life can be best described as going down a long, winding road filled with potholes and faded road markings. And if the members of the bebop each represent their own winding road, then the story of Cowboy Bebop is ultimately where these roads intersect, all brought on by this dangerous longing for the past. Some roads eventually straighten out and the road markers become just a little bit clearer, while others, well, to be honest, you're not even sure if they're still on a road or if there was even a road to begin with. But that's a story for later. I chose to talk about the main three members of the Bebop crew and how this dangerous longing for the past fundamentally made them who they are now, and in some cases took away from who they used to be.
Everything has a beginning and an end. Life is just a cycle of stops and starts. There are ends we don't desire, but they're inevitable. We have to face them. That's what being human is all about.
One of the things about Cowboy Bebop that sets itself apart from other anime is where it chooses to begin its story. You would assume a show would start at the beginning of each character's individual tale, introducing who they are along with the pivotal moment that sets them on their journey. Something along the lines of a call to action is what you would expect. And that's what a show typically does. But Cowboy Bebop is not a typical show. In actuality, this is more or less the ending of their story. It's so atypical for us to meet our main characters during the fall and action of their respective tales. And such is true for the character of Jet Black, who, along with the other two members of the crew, lived a life full of tragedy and betrayal way before the start of even the first episode. Truly a man of many hats, Jet worked for the Intersolar System Police, the ISSP, as well as helped out a former member of the Blue Snake Syndicate, which was a major crime organization on Mars. He had his arm shot off by his close friend and former ISSP partner Fad, and eventually time passes, things calm down for him. He settles down with this girl named Melissa, who one day, while he was away at work, left him. No conversation, no dramatic declarations or speeches that come about in many of the anime before and after Cowboy Bebop, nothing like that. Just a note with a single word written on it: farewell. Jet one day gets tired of the corrupted police government he works for and he leaves to become a bounty hunter as a desperate way of hanging on to his past life as a warrior of justice. He even goes about the job in a similar manner. But despite that, life being long past, in his mind, if ever given a chance, he could at least put together some semblance of his past life, assuming that there would still be a life there for him in the first place. Jet's self-destructive path is one centered around control. Control is his long, winding road, I guess you would say. He wants to return to a time when he truly believed he had control. Control over his job, control over the crime, control over his love life. Only for him to return and he realizes he does not. Even the woman he loved told him that the reason why she left is because she lacked independence and he had too much control over their relationship. That's Jet's long winding road. His long winding road of self-destruction was brought on by him trying to take control over the things that he had no control over, really. Ultimately, he realizes this and he decides to live his life finding peace where he can. Just letting life find its own way because, as he said,
Everything has a beginning and an end.
Making alive now? Today, you are who you are today. See? You're still me, but you're a newer version.
just who are you? Do you ever take any time from your busy life of doing, I don't know, whatever it is that you do to stop and ask yourself that question? A question so simple and yet so complex at the same time. How do you even begin to answer a question like that? Well, that becomes a matter of how do you as a person define the concept of identity. This is the question that Faye Valentine struggles with all throughout Cowboy Bebop. All she wants to know is, who is Faye Valentine? Or rather, who was Faye Valentine? And what really determines that? Faye is another character like Jet who had a long, troubled history that predates the story. And I mean by a lot. Faye was a 20-year-old girl from Singapore who was brought up by rich parents. Parents so rich that they could afford private excursions into space. On one such trip, the ship malfunctioned and was destroyed, killing her parents. Miraculously, Faye didn't die. She walked the thin line of life and death, and fate made it so that she fell onto the other side of the living. However, her condition became so dire from the accident that doctors had to cryogenically freeze her until they could find a cure for her ailment. Now she's alive, but 57 years in the future in a 20-year-old's body, with no memory of her past life, $300 million in debt, and the only thing they have on record is her first name, Faye. 20 years of someone's life lost in the vacuum of history forever. She is eventually captured by Spike and Jet on the Bebop and later becomes one of the 3 main members of the crew. And I should say now that there's more members than just those 3. There's also Ed and I, but I feel like I can make my point with just these 3 characters. And while Jet had a mild obsession with regaining the control that he lost in his past life, Faye is deeply troubled by the fact that she doesn't even know who she is. As if she can't acknowledge her own existence without knowing who this Faye person is. She's thrown into the fire of a whole new world that she couldn't begin to understand, and desperately, and I mean desperately, wanted to hang on to the last thread she has left of a time when things made sense and she truly understood who she was. I would consider this a worse backstory than Jet's because at least he has his memories of a time when he was truly happy. Faye doesn't even know if she ever was. Yet she believes if she remembers something, anything, then maybe her achieving that goal will bring her the happiness and understanding that she yearned for. And most importantly, some kind of connection with the home and family she missed. See, there's an amazing scene in session 18 of Cowboy Bebop. Take note that they call the episodes sessions here, titled Speak Like a Child, where Faye receives a mysterious package that turns out to be a VHS tape, a Betamax tape actually, technology from a long lost era. her era. It turns out it's a time capsule that her high school self wanted to be sent to her 10 years in the future, asking things like, how is she? How is she doing? And acknowledging that she can be quite troublesome sometimes, yet she is still deserving of love and affection and things of that nature. And most importantly, she just wants to give herself some positive words of encouragement, saying that the past is the past and every day is a new opportunity to be a new you. I used to have this whole scene memorized. It's probably the anime scene with the, I'll say along with that one thing that happened in Death Note, and yeah, you know the thing. It's probably the one scene that I think about the most in the entirety of the genre. Faye suddenly remembers her past after watching the tape, and she decides she wants to leave the crew to go to her childhood home, because that's where she feels that she belongs. Her home, the home of her past life. But that's just it. It's her past life, not her current one. She manages to go back to her childhood home, and she only finds dirt. No house, no bed, just dirt. She lies there, realizing that even with the knowledge of her past life returned to her, it's gone forever. The Faye that she was is gone and has been for a very long time. She returned to her home only to realize her truth, that your family and friends are whoever you make them out to be. The whole time she's been looking for a home, a family, well, she didn't realize that she always had one. Her home was the Bebop and her family was Spike and Jet. Faye's long winding road was one of identity. How you can get lost in trying to figure out who you are to the point that you forget to live the life that you have in the first place. Sometimes you spend a long time, a lot of time, looking for complex answers to questions where the answer is right in front of your face. So, who is Faye Valentine? Well, younger Faye said it best.
Making alive now? Today, you are who you are today. See? You're still me, but you're a newer version. Myself 10 years from now. That's so far away, it's almost impossible to imagine.
I felt like I was watching a dream I'd never wake up from. Before I knew it, the dream was all over.
Spike Spiegel, a true enigma if there ever was one. There's so much to say about him that it would really take an entire video on its own. Prior to the events of the show, Spike was a high-ranking member of the Rare Dragon Crime Syndicate who participated in many missions for them, to the point where he was being groomed to be their future leader. And everything was looking to go in that direction until he met Julia, the love of his life. His love for Julia turns his life around, and he no longer wants to be the leader or even involved with the syndicate. So Spike fakes his death as a last-ditch effort to live a normal life with Julia. He even asks her to run away with him, and she doesn't show. It's revealed that Vicious, Spike's true rival, told Julia to either surrender Spike to him and she'll go free, or let you and him both be killed. Julia chooses neither and goes into hiding, not willing to sell out the man that she loves and love her back. And this is the moment where Spike's heart truly breaks. The exact frame, the exact moment in the show where he drops the rose into the puddle of water. This is essentially the death of Spike Spiegel as we know him. What you see now, all the way from episode or session 1 to session 26 of Bebop, is a shell of a man wandering aimlessly from planet to planet, shootout to shootout, hoping either to die or convince himself that there's a meaning to living. Which brings me to his long, winding road, the trickiest one. Or rather, more importantly, a lack thereof, really, because Spike's road ran right into a hazy fog, I guess you would say. He can't even see his life's road anymore. As far as he knows, he's moving in what direction? But to where? Where to? To what aim? What is the point, really? It's a long, winding road of nothingness. So ultimately, what Spike needs is a reason to live instead of a reason to die. See, you can also say that him seeking out death is the only way to truly prove that he was ever really alive in the first place. And well, normally, this is the part of the program where I tell you what happens to Spike and if he ultimately learns the lesson that leads him to a more peaceful life. Like what happened with Jet and maybe Faye, depending on how you look at it. Well, no. I just won't tell you how Cowboy Bebop ends. I'll be doing you a huge disservice by spoiling one of the greatest 26 episode runs of any show in history. Go watch it and see for yourself. And hopefully what you find will satisfy you. But it's like Spike said.
I felt like I was watching a dream I'd never wake up from. Before I knew it, the dream was all over.
All in all, there is a lesson to be learned here, I think. The past is simply that. The past. Don't give it so much control over you. It's unobtainable. It's an unobtainable point in time that you'll never see again. So why give it so much control over you, your life, your existence? I understand that for many people, the past was an easier and happier time. I get it. I mean, that's true for me too. Things were simpler and they made sense. But don't lose track of the life that you have left trying to reclaim faint memories of what you once had. And I understand that some people have things and people that they desperately want back. But all you have left is a memory. So cherish that while you can and live. Out of respect for those things that you lost and those people that you lost. Live the life that you have now. You might have people and moments that you miss, but you have just as many, if not more, waiting for you right now in the present. So go to those before they become regrets too. Don't just run away. Don't use those positive memories as a reason to chase after the past and run away from the present. Run away from that baggage. Run away from that weight. And therein lies the point. The point of all of this, really. The last line of the show. The very last thing you see in the show is a black screen and those words plastered on the bottom of the screen. You're going to carry that weight, no matter what it is. Loss, burden, pain, grief. You can't just drop it and leave, even if sometimes you really, really want to. These three characters are examples of people who had to learn how to carry that weight and move on. Not entirely disregarding your past, but acknowledging that there are new horizons ahead of you, because you're going to carry that weight. I mean, someone has to. Chapter 5. In conclusion. Damn, bruh, I kinda like this one. I hope y'all like it too. Cowboy Bebop is one of my top 5 favorites ever, along with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Yu Yu Hakusho, which is my favorite of all time. And it should be a crime that I haven't talked about Full Metal Alchemist yet, but I haven't decided on a emotional angle to draw from yet. I was thinking like motivation through tragedy or something like that, but I don't know. And damn, I really wanted to talk about the end of this show, but I just can't spoil it for you guys. In good conscience, I can't do that. In any case, I wrote this all in one sitting, and God knows what time it is, and I'm so tired, bruh. In any case, again, I guess I love you all. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want, I'm welcoming any feedback. Tell me what you want to tell me. Unless you tell me I'm ugly or something, which is a waste of my time because I already knew that. Y'all have a nice day for real. And I really do love this show. Like, it's been the background to my phone for the whole year. Subscribe or something. I still don't know why y'all watch my videos. I really don't. All my videos are trash. Nonetheless, if you're one of the 5 people who make it this far into the video, thank you for watching. I love y'all. Keep supporting. Unless you don't want to. Goodbye.